So in this live stream, I'm going to explain and show you in detail why aspiring guitarists over 40 must know the major scale. Now, what is it with this title? So first of all, whether you've been playing guitar for a week, a year, 20 years, or whatever, I believe we're all aspiring guitar players and we're all working to try to get better. I've been playing for over 30 years, but I'm always trying to improve and up my game. So let me know in the comments, are you an aspiring guitarist, and how long have you been playing guitar? Also, I want to encourage you to ask questions and let me know how I can help throughout this live stream. As for being over 40, that just kind of means that you may have been playing guitar back at a time to where YouTube wasn't available, and all the information that's available these days wasn't really available to you. And, you know, that's how it was for me. I've been playing over 30 years. And like I say, I learned from a local music store guitar teacher. And I kind of had to search, you know, for information. But all this information I'm going to share with you today is stuff that I learned, you know, way back before YouTube and before the internet and all that kind of stuff. So the question, why is the major scale so important? Well, the major scale has 7 notes. And it's the foundation of all music. So all chords, all scales, pretty much everything is built from the major scale. You can alter one note and now you've got a different chord, or you have a different scale or whatever. So I truly believe you need to know the major scale and how to use it before searching online and just kind of going crazy looking at all the stuff on the internet and trying to learn all this crazy stuff, because there's so much information out there that it'll totally overwhelm you. And I believe the major scale is the first thing that everybody really should be able to nail down. You should know it to a point where you can really apply it to your guitar playing, and you can hear, you know, those notes of the major scale. You should be able to instantly hear the major scale melody, and it's simply the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale. So sound of music, I love it. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You ought to be able to, you may not be able to sing it to yourself, but you should be able to recognize that melody. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And you should be able to hear that major chord right there. That's an A major bar chord right there. And we're going to talk a lot about, you know, this kind of being your home base, this A major bar chord. But we're going to talk about other things, you know, that you can do with the major scale and how it relates to chords and scales and playing lead guitar and all that kind of stuff. So what I want to do now is I want to show you, it's a PDF that I have available, and let me just go ahead and bring it up to the screen here. So this is something that I've got a link in the description, and you know, if you want a copy of this, I'll send you this free PDF. It's got a whole bunch of other stuff to it. I'll just kind of run through it just kind of really quickly. Here's kind of an introduction, and it goes through and talks about, you know, different parts of the major scale and some modes, and a lot of that stuff we're going to cover in this live stream, but this just kind of goes through stuff and, you know, talks about the pentatonic scale, major, minor, and the blues scale, and the caged positions, all this kind of stuff. And really, I think it'll help you. I put this together because it's just a great tool for me to use, and it's also a great teaching tool, you know, for just teaching this kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and break all this down for you. So basically, what we're looking at, I'm going to remove that for now. And so what we're looking at there is the major scale formula first and foremost. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to bring it up in a snippet to where I can kind of use my little pen here and I can make notes and stuff. So I'm just going to walk through this really quickly for you, but you're probably familiar with whole steps and half steps. Whole step is, you know, 2 frets on the guitar, one way or the other, up or down. Then a half step is just 1 fret on the guitar. And so there's a formula for the major scale, and it is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So it's 7 notes, and again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back to 1 or back to your octave, or you can call it your 8, whatever. But there's a formula there. So from 1 to 2, it's a whole step. Okay, from 2 to 3, it's a whole step. 3 to 4 is a half step. 4 to 5 whole, 5 to 6 whole, and 6 to 7 is a whole step. And then from 7 back to 1 is a half step. And a really good example of that, we're not going to talk too much about the C major scale in this live stream. I'm going to focus on the A major scale. But for now, look at the C major scale. From C to D, there's a whole step. From D to E, there's a whole step. From E to F, which is 3 and 4, there's just a half step. From F to G whole, G to A whole, A to B is a whole step. And from B to C, once again, there's only a half step. So C is a great example because C doesn't have any sharps or flats, sorry. So it's all, just straight notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, so forth, so on. So that's why you kind of got to understand, that formula. So, and the other thing is, it's really good to understand your major and minor chords. If you look here, basically we're looking at, get my pen going again here. All right, here we go. So we're going to look at the chord types. It's really important. I'm going to show you in a minute whenever I start playing through this stuff and start kind of really breaking it down. But it's really important that you understand that there, in every key, whether you're talking about the key of C or G or A or whatever, there's always going to be this formula of the number 1 right there is always going to be a major chord. The number 4 is going to be a major chord right there. Number 5 is going to be a major chord. Number 2, 3, and 6 are all going to be minor chords, and then 7 is going to be a diminished chord. I will show you all of these chords in the A major scale, and then probably a couple of other keys, or the A major key, and probably a couple of other keys too, just to kind of give you a good feel for it. But once you have one key down, or once you have this formula down, you can play in any key with no problem. So, there's really no reason why you can't start in A and then transfer all that information, slide down 2 frets to G, and so forth, so on. So I think all that is super important to not only be able to read and understand by looking at it, but playing the guitar and hearing it. And one of the coolest things that you can do, that you have the ability to do without a question of doubt, it doesn't take any, anything searching the internet or anything like that to figure it out. And that's work on your ear, work on being able to hear chords, being able to hear that major sound, that minor sound, be able to hear your major 7th sound, your dominant 7th sound. Those things are super, super important. We're not going to talk a whole lot about that in this live stream, but I am going to go through a little bit of it. So I just want to go through and just kind of make it clear on the chord type. So let's go ahead and get into the A major scale, and we're going to talk about, once again, the chords in the A major scale, and we're going to talk about the different, scales from different degrees. So if I was to start on A right there, that's my 1. I can play a scale that just simply is kind of like my home base scale that goes from A to A. It's just like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So A to A. But I can also go to this second part of the A major key, and that's going to be a B. Well, that's a B minor chord, but it's a different, it's a little bit of a different scale. Now it's got the same notes as the A major scale, or this A Ionian mode. You can see that right there. We're going to talk a little bit about the modes, but it's a B Dorian, which would basically just be starting with the second note of the A major key, or the A major scale. And now you're going to go from B to B. So B would be your 1, and then you'd end up, B over here. So, but it's a little bit of a different scale. It's not the same, but it's got the same kind of notes. And we're going to talk a little bit about all that, but we're not going to really get in detail on it. But once again, if you want a copy of this PDF that I've got here, then what I want you to do is just go to the comments and just put 2 words: free PDF. Free PDF, and I'll see your comment, and I'll shoot you a link, and you can download it, and you'll have a copy of this. So I think it's going to be really helpful for you. Now let's go into the actual A major scale, and let's go ahead and break it down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little smaller. So this is a website that I use, and this is something that I use all the time. And again, it's just a really good teaching tool. Now the link to this is in that free PDF. But if you just go to the top here to guitar scales, then I can go ahead and I can pick any scale I want. So I can pick a key, you know, pick a scale or whatever. So I'm just going to go and we're going to pick the A major scale. So the A major scale is the same thing as an A Ionian mode. So I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but none of these notes changed. When I went from A major scale to A Ionian mode, which is the major scale, they're identical. It's the same thing. So I just want to touch on that real quick. So, you know, once again, I'm going to go ahead and this is all the notes in the A major scale. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to break it down into this more of a home bass kind of a scale. And I'm going to show it to you just like that. So we're going to really focus. Let me go ahead and bring this in a little closer where you can really see it. But this is going to be kind of our focus right here, this A major scale. So I'm going to go ahead and bring some guitar in here and get another view going where you can kind of see this and you can kind of hear me play or whatever. So again, we're just going to focus on this A major scale. Now this is kind of like your home bass as far as the scale. This is your 1, there's your A right there. And if you can see, then I've got my 1, my 2 is the B, and then so forth, so on. You can just kind of see this scale. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm back to the 1 right there. Now, as you can see that diagram, it goes a little further. I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger because I can make it a little bigger where you can see it better. Let's see here. I think maybe. Let's see if this is a little bit better. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, so we're going to camp out here just for a little bit. So again, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's your major scale, the first octave. And then you can start on this note and you can keep on going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're back to 1. So 1 to this 1 here, this A to this A, that's a 2 octave scale, or basically it's 2 octaves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Now I want you to think of that as kind of like your home bass. This is the A major bar chord right here. If you're familiar with the cage system, then this is your E shape right there. We're going to talk a little bit about these shapes because I want you to understand, you know, this is A, this is A, this is A, obviously this is A right here. All these kind of make up your different shapes as far as the cage system is concerned, if you're familiar with that. We're not going to go into all that right now, but that's just kind of an idea of something you really want to have down. You want to be able to nail the chords and understand that they're in different places on the guitar and be able to work in those positions. And I'll show you why that is here in just a moment. But here we are, and we've got our A major scale down. So let's talk about the chords. So once again, our 1 here is our A major, and then our 4 is our D major. Once again, that's major. Our E, I'm sorry, is a major. That's our 5. And then we're back to our 1. So if you're trying to learn a key to a song, one bonus tip here is try to figure out where the 1, 4, and 5 is. No matter what song it is, if you're listening to a song and it sounds like it's in this key right here, that it keeps on going back to that chord, then just try to figure out if this is your 1, do you have the 4 and the 5 in there anywhere? If you do, then that's definitely in that key, which that'd be in the key of D. So if we're in the key of A, our 1 is our A major, 4 is D major, E is E major. I'm sorry, 5 is E major. Okay, so now let's talk about the minor chords. So we've got our 1, here is our B minor, that's our 2. Here's our C sharp minor, that's our 3. Of course, there's our 4, there's our 5. So where's our 6? Well, we could play it right here. That's our F sharp minor. We could play it right here. That's an F sharp minor. We could play it right here. That's an F sharp minor. And I'll show you why all that is important here in just a minute. And then, of course, your 7 is a diminished chord, which sounds like that. And then you're back to your 1. The main focus that I like to focus on is knowing about the 1, 4, 5, and then, of course, the 2, 3, 6 as far as the major and the minor chords. What I want to do now is just show you real quickly before we get into some lead guitar, which we're going to get into here next. But I want to just kind of go through this chord progression. So we're in the key of A, and I could start with this A chord right here. And all I got to do is say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1. I could do that a lot of different ways. 1, 4, 6, 2, 5, and then I could do any chord progression I want. So I could do a 1, a 6, a 2, little out of tune there, a 4, and then a 5, and then back to 1. So a little bit later on, I'm going to have a chord progression. I'm going to show you a backing track that I created, and it's not anything special. You can find a ton of them on YouTube. You can look on YouTube for anything, and I'm going to kind of show you here in a bit where we just literally search for a guitar backing track in the key of whatever, and it'll show you different chords, or I'm sorry, different backing tracks available to you, but it'll show you, most of them will show you the chords that are being played. Some of them will show you the actual scales that you should play over those chords, which gets you into improvising. So, but what I want to talk about really is just kind of, you know, the backing track that I have available is just simply all 6 of your chords, everything but the 7. So it's got the 3 majors and the 3 minors in the key of A major. And I'll be able to show you basically how I can play, you know, in this home bass position, which again, this right here is just kind of, this is your 1 or your Ionian. It's your first scale, which is the major scale, or your first position of the major scale in the key of A major. Now, if we're playing lead guitar, obviously we're just not going to play like that. We're not going to just play up and down the scale like that. You know, if you want to do finger exercise or something, that's great. But when you're playing lead guitar, obviously you're going to play some phrases. So we're going to get into all that here in just a minute. But just remember, on every key, no matter what key you're in, you've got the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, 6, 7, and back to 1. Now, obviously, I played it with mostly open chords, but you can play it all up here. You can play it anywhere you want, and there's going to be different, really caged shapes or different shapes that you can play the chords in, no matter where you're at. And that kind of brings in, you know, another important thing you'll learn is the triads. You know, there's different places to play the triads, and the triads are just pieces of chords, you know, just parts of chords, and you can, you know, play them in different positions on the guitar fretboard. So the idea and the goal for me was always to be able to play up and down the fretboard in any key and know where I was at, know what chords I had available to me, know what scales I had available to me, and all those things. To me, that was the most important thing. So I don't know really what your goals are, or you know, what it is that you want to learn, or it doesn't really matter. It's all about you and what, you know, kind of music you want to play. It's all about, you know, literally just what you want to do on guitar. Do you want to be more of a lead guitar player? Do you want to just play mostly chords and then throw in a few, you know, fills here and there and things like that? Maybe you just want to play some real nice, simple lead stuff, you know, just something. Maybe you just want to stick with something really nice and simple. Whatever it is you want to do, you know, all this stuff will definitely help you, and being able to play stuff in any key is so important. So I walked through the key of A. Let let me just real quickly go through some different keys. So let's say let's say G is your 1. Now you're in the key of G. Well, it's the same thing. You just got your 1, you got your 2, you got your 3, you got your 4, you got your 5, you got your 6, which is E minor, which would also be right here. And then you got your 7, and then back to your 1. You're in the key of C. There's 1, 2, 3. I could go back down here to my F, which is my 4. I can go to this G for my 5. 6 is A minor. 7 is going to be your diminished, which this one would be like that. And then back to your 1. So once you figure out these formulas and figure out, how to figure out what key you're in and all these kind of things, again, I'm playing most everything. I'm showing you most everything in a major key. Once you get into music, obviously there's going to be a lot of songs that are more focused on the minor key and things like that. So a song may sound like, instead of sounding like that A major, it may focus more on the F sharp minor, which is your 6 of your A major. That's really important because for every 1 or for every major key, you've got a relative minor key, which is your 6. And again, that 6 is a minor chord. So it doesn't matter where you're at. You've heard 1,000 songs that have this chord progression from whatever key it's in. Going from that 1 to the 6. And then maybe to the 4, 5, and back to the 1. So you'll be able to really start, once you get your ear really focused on, being able to hear these sounds and really hear the chords within these keys. I think that's so important. And there's a lot of music, again, a lot of stuff you can learn about music and guitar on the internet and YouTube, but this really is the foundation of it all. I mean, being able to play all your chords in a key, be able to understand what key you're in, understand, how you can apply, different shapes on the guitar. And all we've done so far is really just talked about chords. So let's go ahead and get into some lead guitar, and let's go ahead and get back to this scale. And I'm going to go ahead and focus on just this as kind of like my home base scale, but understand that there's some other positions on the fretboard that you can play in. So I'm just going to kind of go through a couple of things for you real quick and just kind of give you an idea. I'm not going to break all this down. I'm just going to stay in this home base, but I want you to see that I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Well, I could also do that like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. I could go, I'm sorry. I could go all the way up there if I wanted to. So once you get to the second octave, so from here, I'm sorry, one more time. I can start right here. Kind of going a little slow so I don't miss anything here, but there's different positions here. It's kind of what I'm trying to show you. Every bit of that was an A major scale in just the key of A major. So that's kind of what I want to show you right there. So let's go ahead now and let's go ahead and break in. Does anybody have any questions? If there's anybody watching live, I pretty much am just looking at the camera and looking at my screen of my diagrams and stuff. And I don't know if there's anybody watching live or how many people are watching or whatever, but if you're watching live right now, ask questions. Just shoot some questions. I see there's a couple of comments there, and that's great. I see I do see, I don't know if I can pronounce the first name, Arash. Maybe that's correct. Let me go ahead and show this on here, and let me get back to where, yeah, there we go. That looks a little better. So the question is, can you talk about using the pentatonic and doing chord lick, chord, chord lick, chord? Can you talk about using the pentatonic and doing chord licks? Yeah, let's do that right now. So let's talk about the pentatonic scale. That's a great question. I'm going to talk about the major pentatonic scale, and then we'll talk about the minor pentatonic scale a little bit, and then I can kind of go from there. So yeah, keep the questions coming. I really appreciate that. And let me know if I answer your question or if you still, if I still leave you a little bit confused or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and bring the scale back up there and get right back to where we were. And so that's really cool, because the reason why I feel like you need to know the 7-note scale first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is because once you know the 7-note scale, then the 5-note scale, which is your pentatonic scale, is right in that same group of notes. So your major scale is 7 notes, and your pentatonic major scale would be 5 notes. Same thing with your minor, whatever. So this would be the A major pentatonic. And that's cool, because all it is leaving out your 4 and your 7, if you'll notice. So it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and back to 1. And I'll show you a little trick. There's a song that's back in the 60s, My Girl. Awesome song. I won't go through the whole song or anything, but it's a perfect major pentatonic scale, that whole riff that it does. So it goes, and it goes to F. So forth, so on. So if I was in A and wanted to do that, I could go. That's your major pentatonic scale. Now, if I want to finish that out, I can play through the both octaves and just do this. And that's your A major pentatonic scale. Missed it that time. Now, that's just one position. There's actually 5 positions of the pentatonic scale. I'm going to show you 5 positions real quickly. Of course, this is the 1, but I'm going to show you the 2, 3, 4, and 5, the positions that I like to use for the major scale. And just real quickly, I'll tell you that in my PDF, if you want to download that PDF, once again, just put free PDF in the comments, and I'll send you that. But it's got all the positions of the pentatonic scale, whether you're talking about the major, or it's got all the positions of the minor pentatonic scale or the blues scale, and plus it's got, of course, the positions of the major scale and all that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and play just a little bit, just using that major pentatonic scale. Let me first show you just the other positions real quickly. I'm not going to put them up on the screen, but again, that PDF has got them. So this is position 1. I'll get it here in a minute. This is position 2, starting with the 2 right here, which is the B. This is position 3, starting with your C sharp. This would be position 4, starting with your E. One more time. Position 5 is going to be your F sharp minor scale, F sharp minor pentatonic scale, and this would be the one that I feel like everybody learns this scale. Everybody usually learns that scale first. Once again, that's based on the 6, which is the F sharp. And then, of course, you're back to 1. So that's 5 positions of the major pentatonic scale. If you were to start on the minor pentatonic scale, and let's just say this F sharp minor, or F sharp was your 1, then this could be your 1 right here, which is your first position in the minor pentatonic scale. Well, guess what? Position 2 is going to be your position we just learned right here, which is the A. And the position 3 is right here, and so forth, so on. So it's identical to what I just showed you, based on, you're just starting whether your minor pentatonic scale is your 1 or your major pentatonic scale is your 1. So I hope that did answer your question, and I'm fixing to play here in a minute over that track I was talking about earlier, which is a backing track that's in the key of A major that I created, but I'll be able to play, some 7-note stuff and some pentatonic stuff, and just play some real, just slow stuff and not anything fancy, but just kind of to give you an idea of how you can, just play in different places on the fretboard, or you can play in just one position. The first thing I'm going to do is show just playing in just this one position. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up here now. I'm going to show this on the screen where you can really see it. And I'm going to play a little bit of this track right here. And then what I'm going to do is come back. And like I say, I'm just going to start out playing in this home bass position, which I showed you just based on this A major first position. And I'll throw in some pentatonic stuff there too. But the goal is just real quickly, the real goal is for improvising is to be able to play over the chords, to be able to play with the chord changes and things like that. So each one of your chords, they're built off a 1, a 3, and a 5. They're built off 3 notes. And so whether it's major, whether it's minor, you want to be able to hear those root notes, but also you'll hear the other notes in the chords. And that's for another lesson, but the idea of improvising is to be able to play through the chords and be able to hit, the root notes of the chord it's going to, or, one of the chord tones of each chord, and really just be creative with that. That's one of the big keys to improvising. So I'm going to get back to this right here and play a little bit of this track. And again, please keep the questions coming. Everybody watching live, please keep the questions coming. So this right here is just showing you first and foremost that I'm showing you each chord I'm playing. So there's my 1, that's the A. Going to the B minor, which is your 2. D is your 4. Back to A, your 1. Now I'm going to go up to the 6. I'm sorry, the 3. C sharp minor. Now your 6, which is F sharp minor. Back to your 4, which is D, and then 5, which is E. And that chord progression just keeps on going. So let's do a little jam into that and see what we got here. A little bit of melody there, not anything fancy. Let's do some pentatonic stuff. Got to hit that note right there. There's your root note, your D. Root note, E. All right, so if you'll notice right there, it's really cool to me that all of the chords are there, but also the scales. So I didn't really talk much about these other positions, but I wanted to kind of wait where you could see this, and this makes it a lot easier to see. But this is exactly the 5 major scale positions that I use. So this is 1 right here, based off your A. This is the 2nd position based off your B. 3rd position based off your C sharp, which is your 3. 4th position based off your E, which is your 5. And the 6th position based off your F sharp. Again, like I told you, it's the 6. So now what I want to do is just kind of jam a little bit and just kind of play through the different positions. So I'm going to move around a little bit, and you can just kind of see how you can take the same scale and you can play it right here in your home base area, or you can move it to your different positions up the fretboard, and that's where it gets really cool and really sweet. So to me, back when I used to play, learn all this stuff way back in the day, that was really my goal. My goal was simply to be able to go from this A right here to that A right there and be able to jam all the way up and down the neck. That's what I always wanted to do. Again, this is from your F sharp minor pentatonic scale. Same notes as the A major scale. I can start with this A right here. And now I'm just playing an A pentatonic major scale, because I'm landing on that A, and that A is more my major, versus if I was doing a minor pentatonic, I'd focus more on that F sharp. Now this scale does work. You just got to know where to kind of hit the notes of the chord. There's a couple of those chords that really don't work as well with this scale. And again, this is the pentatonic scale. This is the 5-note scale. If I was playing the 7-note scale, then I've got all these notes and I can hit anything I want. have it. So I hope that gives you a really good idea of some really cool things you can do. I hope this has been really helpful for everybody. Again, if anybody's there and you got any questions, I'm kind of going through my notes here, making sure I didn't miss anything that I wanted to talk about. But I can tell you that a lot of the stuff that I did, you can definitely get the diagrams for on that PDF that I've got. That's again free. I'll just send it to you. All you got to do is just in the comments put the 2 words free PDF. If you're watching this on the replay, just free PDF, or there's a link in the description for it. I'd love to get as many get that in as many hands as possible, because I really feel like it's a great tool, and I think it's so helpful. And once again, I just want to reiterate the fact that this is the foundation stuff that I feel like we all need to learn first. And again, I learned this stuff a long time ago, before I ever even thought about learning all the crazy stuff that's on the internet today. So I'll just say this: anything that's on the internet, you can search on YouTube, and it's just unbelievable. All the amazing guitar players, it's mind blowing. It really is. But even if you've been playing guitar for, like I say, a year, or if you've been playing guitar for over 30 years like myself, you can get overwhelmed really quickly. You can just get lost in a sea of so much stuff that it'll make your mind just go nuts. And so what I really believe is, just like building a house, you got to have that foundation first, and once you have a firm foundation, concrete's got to be dead solid, then you can work from there and kind of build your house and go from there. This is the foundation of that house. I promise you that. And if you'll apply this stuff to your guitar playing and your goals and things like that, I know it'll help you, because, this is where it's at right here, I really believe. So let me just make sure I'm not missing any questions here. I see a few comments. I really appreciate it. Let me read Pedro's comment here. 1 second. So using this scale, but thinking of it as positions to work with specific chord changes. Cool. I'll be sure to work on that. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it really is all about just connecting the different scales and different positions. But once you have those formulas down, and once you have those positions and shapes down, they're movable. So if you know it in the key of G, you know it in the key of A. If you can do it in the key of F sharp minor, then you can do it in A major. If you whatever, it's just music, and you start to just really developing your ear is so critical, and that's one of the main things that you'll be able to do with all that. So yeah, once again, thanks so much for that. I appreciate it. And yeah, Pedro and Irish, I don't know if I said that correct or not, but thank you so much for the question, and thank you for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. Once again, get that free PDF if you would. Check out my channel, and I just appreciate anybody that watches my videos and can get anything from them, any kind of value that you can get. And I hope to hear some good feedback and comments, and that this really does help. I'm going to continue this kind of a series. I'm going to talk more about the same stuff in different live streams coming up, and just talk about it from different perspectives, as far as like say, this might have been more from the major, the one perspective. My next one may be more about from the 2 perspective, and how you could use that to really do some cool stuff. It all fits together, but I'm just going to kind of break it up into some different live streams, and hopefully that'll help as well. So once again, I appreciate all of you. If you're watching the replay, then yeah, just leave me some comments, ask some questions, be able to help any way I can. I'm going to continue these live streams. Let me know what you might want to see in a future live stream, something that might be helpful for you. And once again, I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of you. And I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Keep rocking. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much.